Ordering a bowl of chili these days is a risky proposition. You might get long simmered chunks of meat in a rich smoky sauce, or you might get a bowl of watery brown liquid with gristly ground meat, beans, and so many toppings you can't taste the actual chili itself. Today, we're keeping it basic, letting the meat and chilies shine in this chili con carne, served alongside a spicy, cheesy cornbread. So to get started, we're going to need some dried chilies. I've got 3 New Mexico chilies, 3 guajillo chilies, and 3 dried ancho chilies. We're going to go ahead and snip the stems off of those, get all the seeds out, or at least as many as we can manage. It's okay if you tear them a little bit here. We're going to blend them up in just a few minutes. Once you get all of the seeds and stems removed, go ahead and toss those and soak the remaining chilies in 2 cups of boiling water. If you need to, grab an extra bowl or plate, put it in there to make sure they are completely submerged, and set them aside for 25 to 30 minutes to soak. In the meantime, we'll prep some more chilies. I've got 3 serranos here, and yes, I'm leaving the seeds in. You're going to be surprised at how mild this dish actually turns out, but we do want a little heat. So go ahead and get those finely chopped up. We'll turn our attention to 2 jalapeños, from which I will go ahead and remove the stems and ribs. Again, this is up to your taste. If you want to make sure it's got a nice kick to it, leave them all in. Slice and dice those jalapeños on up. And then we'll turn our attention to 1 large white onion and just give it a basic dice. Set that aside, and we'll turn our attention to our rehydrated or reconstituted chilies here. Add them to a powerful blender, followed by about a half a cup of that chili liquid. Go ahead and give those a blend on high. This is your friendly reminder to always be cleaning while you're in the kitchen. Once your chilies have been nicely blended for about a minute to a minute and a half, go ahead and get that chili paste out into a bowl and set it aside. We have about 2.5 pounds of beef chuck roast here, which we're going to cube up into 1 to 2 inch pieces. Most important thing is just be as consistent as you can with the size of your cut. Go ahead and season them aggressively with fresh cracked pepper, a teaspoon or 2 of fresh ground cumin, and a couple of heavy pinches of kosher salt. And probably should have used a bigger bowl, but go ahead and get in there with your fingers and give all that a workaround until those spices and seasonings are evenly distributed. So it's time to cook. We're going to brown this beef working in batches in a large brazier here, but you could use a Dutch oven or just the biggest pot you have. We want to get some color on all the sides of our beef, and once that is done, as you can see here, we have a lovely fond in the bottom of our pan. We're going to go ahead and add the onions and the serranos and jalapeños, and as the liquid leaches out of them due to the heat, we can start to release some of that fond off the bottom of the pan. Go ahead and stir those over medium-high heat for 4 to 5 minutes until they've just softened, and at this point we are going to add in a big heaping tablespoon of tomato paste. I didn't call this Texas chili because they would have thrown me out of the state for putting tomato product in there, but I just like the body and acidity that it brings. Go ahead and stir that and cook it around for a minute or 2, followed by your chili paste, and we'll do the same thing here. Just stir it in and cook it out for a minute or 2 until it starts to get aromatic. At this point, we're going to add in 2 cups of beef stock, or beef bouillon, and 2 cups of water, which is what I had here. And finally, using that liquid, we are going to really deglaze the bottom of this pan, making sure to get all those juicy brown bits up. The next liquid that's going to go in is going to be 2 cups of just plain water, but if you had a good lager style beer or ale, you could totally use that as well. But just water will be fine. Get that in, and because I forgot to add my chopped garlic earlier, I'm just adding in a little garlic powder, but the recipe down below will be written with the garlic chopped up. 1 tablespoon of honey and 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire go in, stir to combine, and then we'll add in our meat along with any and all accumulated juices. Make sure every piece is submerged, bring this to a simmer, and cover, and now we turn our attention to our cornbread. Crack an egg into a bowl and give it a nice beat down, then add in 1 cup of cornmeal, followed by 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 1 cup of milk. You could use any kind of milk if you want to. We'll next go in with 1 teaspoon of baking powder, followed by a 1/4 teaspoon, basically a big pinch of baking soda. Gonna give it a nice leavening and rise to it. We'll go in with 2 tablespoons of honey. You could use maple syrup as well. A half cup of freshly diced jalapenos, again with the seeds removed. 1/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil. And half a cup of cheese. I'm using sharp cheddar, but could totally use any kind of cheese that you want to, or leave it out altogether. Stir that very thoroughly to combine, making sure there's no white lumps of flour left in there. Preheat your oven to 350 along with a 10 to 12 inch cast iron skillet. Boil that down to give us some non-stick insurance. And then dump your batter into the skillet. Make sure it's nice and evenly distributed. Optionally, you could garnish this with a few slices of jalapeno, as I'm doing here. And we're going to bake this for 20 to 25 minutes at 350 until it is golden brown and just cooked through. How do you know? Well, you take a toothpick, insert it, and if it comes out clean like that, your cornbread is done. Now all you've got to do is wait at least 30 minutes before serving it, which gives us just enough time to return our attention to our chili, which we simmered for 2 hours with the lid on, and then for an extra 30 to 45 minutes with the lid off, so it reduced down and got nice and thick as you see here. I like to finish it with some acidity in the form of the juice of 1 lime, but even a dash of vinegar would be great. And then get yourself a bowl, a big old hunk of that cornbread, several big spoonfuls of that rich, meaty chili, and I'm keeping the garnishes as simple as I can, with a nice little dollop of sour cream, some freshly chopped green onion greens, and a little wedge of lime. So a lot of chilies went into this, but it honestly has a more smoky, rich, earthy flavor than it does spicy. There's a little heat, won't lie, but it won't overpower you. And especially if you garnish it with a little lime juice, a little sour cream, all the flavors are so complementary. It is truly a rich, indulgent, and excellent bite that is well worth the wait. Now you know I gotta get in there, get some of this cornbread, get a bite with everything all together. That cornbread has a great meal texture to it. It does have a little heat from the jalapenos, but the sweetness from the honey really balances everything out. The gooiness from the cheese. This is a really comforting bowl of food. It's chili done the right way, with just chilies and meat. Get out of here now. Thanks for watching. Go make something delicious.